Decorating, D. Trying to do makeup. This took so long. I didn't have any brown yarn, so she has blue hair. It's cute though. Piercing time. My second lobe is still healing and it's been 6 months. Can someone tell me if that's okay, Lord? Now she needs a body.
Answering questions about soft air dry clay. Does it dry? It dries in 2 to 3 days into a hard styrofoam texture. Is it waterproof? No, but you can apply varnish to make it waterproof. Does it break if you drop it? No, it doesn't. It's pretty strong. Not even a crack.
I heard that you don't have a little witch hat picture holder? What? Let's make one. Hello guys, I'm back with another picture holder idea, and you guessed it, it is a little witch hat. Since I had already made a little pumpkin picture holder and a ghost picture holder, I thought it was essential for me to make a little witch hat picture holder. Alrighty, so I started out by rolling out some clay to an even thickness, and then using a cookie cutter, I cut out the base of the hat. Then, using the leftover slab of clay, I rolled it into a cone for the top of the hat. Next, I just used my wood tool that you see here to blend those two pieces together and also smooth out the piece overall. And then, to smooth it out even more, I brought out my clay sponge and just started smoothing out the base and the cone of the hat. I also used my fingers to tap in some imperfections, and then I added a little rectangle for the buckle of the hat. Then, for the picture holder part, I used my flat cutter to create a little divot right on top. And after that, I was done. Now I'm setting it out to dry for 24 hours, and then I get to paint it. Follow for part 2. Bye!
Welcome to episode 2 of trying to find the best at-home clay for your craft projects. Hi, my name's Riley. I'm an artist, and today we are going to be looking at the DAS brand clay. This is an air dry clay from an Italian company. It is not for babies, and I have been trying it out for about a week, and man, I have some feelings about it. So personally, I do not like the texture of this clay in its wet, undry form. I can only describe it as leathery and pulpy. It doesn't stick to my rolling pin. I feel like it's gaslighting me. It should be easy to work with, but when you try to add water to smooth out the weird leathery pulpiness of it, it becomes very slimy and doesn't want to absorb it. I think it's super icky. I can't get it off of my hands. It's slimy, it's gross. I personally don't like that, but okay, let's talk about durability because this is where it started to change my mind. I did some drop tests. I did some kind of just whacking at it. I wanted y'all to see here, like I'm putting my arm and shoulder into that and it is not even chipped. It's like the paint is a little bit messed up. There, it finally did break when I was pushing down on it with my entire body weight. Again, here, this clip is sped up, but I'm like really going at it. So overall, 7 out of 10.
By now, I'm sure you've seen the fake cakes on Pinterest, and I want to share a quick tutorial on how to make the frosting with foam clay. The first type is super easy. You just want to roll it in a rope shape and fold it in a zigzag motion. Second is super similar to the first, except use a toothpick to add a pattern to the clay. Fold it in a zigzag motion and you have frosting similar to the first one, except with a bit more detail. The third one is my favorite one, but it can be a little bit tricky. So you want to take a clump of clay and twist, fold it together, and cut the side of the clay. And you just have to repeat to make the rest. For the fourth version, you want to make a teardrop shape and use a toothpick to add the side of the frosting. This kind of gives it a piping bag effect, and I think it looks really cute. Make a few more and stack them against each other, and we have something like this. For the last frosting, it's very similar to the fourth one, except we're just arranging them side by side. And that's all. If you have a favorite one, let us know in the comments.
Two of making my air dry clay cowboy boot vase. Now I have coated this with 2 layers of gesso just to prime the clay as well. And don't worry, this time I had a better plan for decorating the boot than I did for making it. So the first part I started on was just the base and getting the heel of the boot decorated. I did this by using a combination of different brown colours. So I had a dark brown on the very bottom, and then I used a lighter brown for the actual heel. I also used a different shade of brown as well, just to add some accents to the heel. And then I just took my time and made sure that it was all blended in. And I'm so particular with my blending, this is always the longest part for me. One of my favourite tips when using air dry clay and painting it is I use just a little desk fan, and that helps just to dry it quickly. Next I got on to doing just the little buttons on the buckles. So again, using a brownie sort of colour, I just started off with the base. And when I'm painting circles, I always like to start from the inside and work outside. Then I went in just with another shade of brown and added some highlights to the button. I then also added some white and blended that in. Next it was on to painting the boot. Now this was the longest process out of the whole thing. I knew I wanted it to be pink, but I just didn't want solid plain pink. I wanted there to be depth and shading to it. So just going in and adding little bits of white, I smoothed and blended that in just to add a bit of highlights to the boot, generally where the sun would sort of like hit it if it was outside. This process took so long and my neck was killing me at this stage. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also added some darker pink just to the buckle. And again, blended that in. Once I was happy with it, I went in and just added some detailing. So I was just using a really small tiny brush, using a hot pink sort of colour. I just went in and added some little dots and lines. This was incredibly meticulous and it absolutely killed my hand by the end of it. Now I am using a really fine brush here, but if you don't have a fine brush like this, you can also use a nail brush, which is super handy and easy to use as well. Now I finished off this part, but it still needed something else on the boot. So I added some swirly patterns all around the boot, and I also went in with white paint and added some more little dots and details to it. At this stage, it had been probably about a couple of hours I had spent just decorating this one boot alone. My hand was absolutely killing me and my neck was so sore, but I was determined to push through and get her finished today. But anyway, after I'd finished decorating it, I also went in just on the inside and touched up with a little bit of white paint, and then patiently waited for it to dry. After it had finally dried, it was on to the glazing part. I just used a spray glaze and I did 4 coats of it. Allowed that to dry and it was done. I'm super happy with how it turned out. Now I just need to work out what to make next.